at roughly 5'10" and weighs 147 pounds, once again negating the possibility of a height or reach advantage. That makes my job way easier because that means I can solely base it on technique. Now, the main thing Jin Mori has going for him is that he uses a realistic martial art in Taekwondo. Now, I know what you're thinking. Taekwondo is not the most effective martial art when it comes to MMA. But that being said, there are other fighters who have made a good career off of Taekwondo. If you look at fighters like Uriah Hall, Benson Henderson, or Anthony Pettis, we see some very high-level athletes who have made their entire career based on Taekwondo. But the important thing to remember is that these fighters also have other martial arts to back up their striking skills, with fighters like Anthony Pettis displaying top-tier Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and other fighters like Benson Henderson having extensive wrestling backgrounds. This allows them to win a lot of their fights on the feet while being able to survive and even win when it comes to ground fighting. While it can be said that his style is only Taekwondo, if we watch his fights, we can see that that's not necessarily the case. We see him fight a lot of different disciplines, from karate to boxing to kung fu, and in a lot of those fights, he does hold his hands up in a traditional guard. So he's not going to be strictly sticking his hands out to block punches. What's more, he tends to use a lean back stance in order to stay out of range from a lot of the fighters and use his kicks to keep the distance. And while this is not necessarily the most effective way to fight standing up, it is something he has trained very well and will be able to use highly effectively against the other fighters. I know that he spends a lot of time doing jump kicks and spins, and while these are used in some cases in the UFC, they are not used to the extent that he uses them. Still, when he is on the ground fighting close hand-to-hand and they're switching from the more unrealistic aspects of the fight, Jin Mori does display some very crisp technique. On top of this, when he gets to the ground, we've seen him do exceptionally well, using some very good grappling techniques, being able to get out from mount in an MMA situation against a good karate fighter, and we've seen him use some good takedowns from time to time. I should note that I'm only considering his earlier feats in the series because once you get past those first couple of fights, it all becomes way too unrealistic to even be considered something close to realistic fighting. So don't think I'm giving him a special pass when it comes to that. But in those early fights, we get another benefit that Jin Mori is going to have over a lot of these other fighters, and that is the experience of fighting other realistic fighting styles. In the God of High School tournament, it starts off with him fighting many fighters of many different styles, and we see boxers, wrestlers, judo and jiu-jitsu fighters, and all sorts of other martial arts I couldn't even name here. So given that experience, we know that Jin Mori is not going to struggle when he comes up against a realistic human fighting style without his power. On top of this, one of the biggest feats I like to bring up when it comes to Jin Mori's fighting, he does fight one of the top Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters in the world, and in that fight, he has no problem dealing with this fighter who's trying to get in close and grappling. This shows that Jin Mori can deflect the takedown if he needs to, and when he gets there, he can get out and won't just end up stuck on his back.